Hello, my dears. Hero here. In 2024, I haven't been posting many videos. Actually, in the first 3 months of this year, I've only posted one video.
Peaches, 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 peaches.
And yeah, YouTube's got the quiet season at the beginning of the year, but there is more of a reason than that I have not been posting as regularly. One of my big New Year's resolutions this year was just to
be more gay.
Mission accomplished. That's also why I put the mic facing you, so if you say any funny quips, we can get it on record. Lionel, friend of the channel, is in the background here, so if you hear someone making fun of me, that's who that is.
Resident fun maker.
One of my big 2024 New Year's resolutions was to simply play more video games. The kind of double-edged sword about having a YouTube channel about gaming where you talk about your hobby of gaming is the more time you spend on videos, the less time you actually spend gaming. And I am fully aware that there are so many great games out there and that I will never fully finish my bucket list of games. But I wrote a bunch of games down that I wanted to play this year. And if you hear those other sounds that sound like skittering about, that is cat of the channel, Bingo, running around playing with one of his favorite toys, a spring. So let's get right into it, talk about the games so far that I've been playing, chipping away at my backlog. I've written out all the games I want to attempt to play in 2024. For now, we'll just discuss what I've been able to play in the last 3 months. Starting with beep beep beep, of course.
Chapter 1.
Chapter 1. The Legend of Zelda: Tears of the Kingdom. Tears of the Kingdom was my most anticipated game of 2023, and I played a lot of it during 2023 and made a lot of videos about it in 2023. But I didn't actually beat the game. It's one of those things where when you have a good open world game, I really like to savor the experience as much as possible. And also other games came out like Mario Wonder that also kind of sidetracked me. Tears of the Kingdom was a slow burn of a game for me. And 2024, I started the year being like, I want to beat Tears of the Kingdom. So I start grinding, and my goal was to complete all 120 shrines. At this point, I had already completed the underground and unlocked all the light routes, and my main goal to beat the game in my brain was finishing the shrine quest and then beating Ganondorf. As I'm doing the 120 shrines, I had put off the 5th Sage quest for a really long time, where you get Mineru's mech. And because in my mind I was like, oh, if I do the Mineru's mech quest, I might accidentally get too far into endgame. But I decided, you know what, F it, I'm gonna go find the mech. Silly little me, it was very ironic. Instead of going to Mineru, I actually ran straight to Ganondorf on accident.
I don't know how you managed to do that, because getting to Ganon is super convoluted, and you took the longest way ever.
I know, and
you just have to think, maybe this feels wrong. This giant scary hole, this jump off a chasm.
You know, I didn't... You know when I realized that I accidentally had gone to the final boss instead of...
When he stepped out?
Yeah.
When he stepped out and he was like, it's me.
He's like, hello, I've been waiting for you. And I'm like, oh, maybe this isn't the final boss. And then he starts transforming from old decrepit Ganondorf to muscle Daddydorf. And I'm like, oh no.
I've gone too far.
So I went pretty far before I realized, oops, I'm doing the final boss. So I didn't even have the 5th Sage with me on that final fight. Luckily, I was pretty stacked with weapons and food, which is good, because that is a hard boss fight. You fought it, right, Lionel?
Yeah, but I kicked his ass.
Yeah, your strat was awesome.
I don't know who did it, but I saw it on TikTok of how to build a huge weapon that has...
It's basically max damage output you can achieve with one strike, right?
Yeah, it was a pristine Royal Guard Claymore that was beat down until the last hit, had Molduga Jaw attached to it. You were wearing the bone armor, the glow-in-the-dark bone armor at level 3 minimum.
Which gives you a boost to bone weapons.
Yeah, it gives you a boost to bone weapons, and the Molduga Jaw counts as a bone. It's the strongest bone, and so you attach that to a pristine version of the Royal Guard's Claymore right before it breaks, which doubles the attack damage even further. And if you throw it, it doubles it again, and if you eat food that boosts your attack, it doubles it again. So you basically do like just shy of 1,000 damage with every sword if you throw it at his head.
I've been counting the little multipliers and hacks that Lionel applied to this weapon, and yeah, you just then start shit whipping them at Ganondorf.
Oh, so funny.
So if you do that, pretty easy boss fight.
I'll give you the footage. It's great.
Heck yeah, we can show it right now. Meanwhile, for me, I was pleased with the level of challenge for the final Ganondorf fight. I thought it was definitely harder than Ganon in Breath of the Wild. Well, Ganondorf was hard, and then the final like cinematic part, which I won't spoil, that part was pretty easy, similar to the boar form of Ganon.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, granted,
Which I don't mind. Hard boss fight preceding like the more cinematic one.
Yeah, I didn't actually fight Ganon. I just clowned on him with some stupid crap that I saw on the internet because I wanted to. But after fighting like Shadow Ganon, it was like, yeah, I could assume that it was a pretty tough fight. I cheesed it a little too hard, and I skipped the whole fighting portion. But
true, because you get a teaser for the fight with the little gloom hands that appear.
Yeah, with the gloom hands, and if you go to the castle through the story, there's like a teaser sort of for the fight that
I forgot about that one, yeah. That one scared the piss out of me.
It's like the actual fight with Ganon that I didn't personally partake in. I could assume reasonably as a gamer, you just like, yeah, that seems like a pretty tough fight. The health bar is any indication. You see it for the first time, you go, oh shit.
Yes.
And
yeah,
then
it goes
off the screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a cool final boss. I didn't appreciate some of those details in the moment because it was like, oh shit, oh shit, oh shit, I'm in the final boss.
Even with me, I did a lot of grinding in the underground for just the sword that I needed because you could only find it in one place. So I did like weeks of preparation just waiting for blood moons and crap. So it's just like...
Yours was easy at the cost of the time you had to invest to get to that point.
But even still, with the amount of damage that I could do with one weapon, I was still nervous because I was like, is this actually gonna work? What if I break? What if I run out of weapons? What if it isn't enough?
Yeah. Final note I want to say about that final boss is I do like the Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom approach of having like a final boss and then having like a victory lap with the more cinematic portion. Good little balance, I think. I enjoy that format.
Yeah.
So yeah, I accidentally beat Ganondorf, did not have all 120 shrines. I still wanted to achieve that goal, but then I took a small little detour from that game and started playing the first true game on this bucket list of mine, which was Lego City Undercover. There's some deep lore with Lego City Undercover in this channel because it was featured in my very first video, Flip the Switch. That was one of the examples of a cover when you flipped it inside out. It was just blank. So if you flipped that game cover inside out, it would just look like a white box and be super boring. And someone made the really good joke, that someone being me, that it was like Lego City Undercover went undercover. Moving on. So I bought that game like a long time ago on some Black Friday sale, and it's been collecting dust in my collection. So I'm like, okay, if I'm committing to this bucket list project, I'm gonna do Lego City first. And I was pleasantly surprised with the game. I really think it's a genuinely fun alternative to GTA if you are one of those parents or have one of those parents that is just really opposed to you playing GTA, which is fair. Both Lionel and I had that experience with our parents.
Mm-hmm. My mom did not like it because you had to kill cops, so she was like, no, you cannot play this.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so reverse of that, unfortunately, you are one of the cops in this game. It flips it on the other side. And kind of similar to LA Noire, you can super abuse your power in that you're a cop, but you can crash into people, basically do crime and not get in trouble for it. And yeah, that's not great when you think about it, but it's a Lego game and nobody really makes like their hurt sounds. It's all like really cartoony. So there's a level of negligibility there. a level. But yeah, beyond that, it is a fun game. It's a more palatable version of the GTA game loop. You get classic Lego game levels, which are just platform puzzle levels that if you want to, you can play co-op with a friend. The game functionally reminded me a lot of Lego Batman, where you get a lot of different disguises, which give you a lot of different powers, which allow you to do a lot of different things in this game. So that was pretty cool. I liked the depth that was there. It definitely was a simple game, but I think for a kiddo first getting into open worlds who might be wanting to play something like GTA with like a bunch of cool vehicles and stuff, the vehicles were really sick in this game. The point is, there was a lot of meat on the bones of this game. It was full. I enjoyed my time with it. That being said, one thing I did notice was the load screens in this game were wild. Like, they were really long load screens. And allegedly, I've heard the Wii U load screens are worse than the original version of the game. And then they updated it and they're faster. And even with the update, they're really slow. The slowest load screens I experienced out of any of the games I played. So that's saying something, I think. The whole time I'm talking here right now, I'm going to show footage of one of said load screens to really hammer in the points.
It takes the whole conversation for the load screen to happen.
I'm really hoping so in the edit. So yeah, that was a thing. There was 2 currencies in the game. Your standard Lego game currency of the studs, and you also had just bricks, which could help you build things around town, which helped fill out your open world. And what I really liked about these 2 currencies is the studs. You really easily got access to stud multipliers, which by like 1/3 into the game, I was getting times 48 coins. I just kept stacking all those multipliers, and by that point, I was getting times 48. That was fun, just how broken that was. But then the other resource, the one that actually helps you complete the open world, that one you had to work a little more to collect up. I think I would have really liked this game as a kid. It really does feel like you're playing in a fully realized Lego city, to the extent where you can even fly helicopters over the streets and speed boats along the coast of the harbor. There's still a lot of fun to be had here as an adult, but I think I've aged out of this game's humor. It uses very juvenile slapstick wordplay, but delivered in a way that deflates the joke and makes you groan.
Please report to the shuttle bay.
Whoa! Sheesh! That is one small step, Foreman.
As well as a lot of loud equals funny. I'm looking at you, Frank. Stuff I would have ate up when I was 12, but now it doesn't do much more than get a couple of smirks out of me. One last fun fact about Lego City Undercover is we found good old Dr. Stromboliosis Jones. Dr. Jones is a character from my very first video.
Also flip the switch.
Yes, and he's also a Lego doctor in Lego City Undercover, which I think that's so fun that I discussed that game in that video, and then years later I find a little Easter egg, unintentional Easter egg buried in the game. So that was just fun. Some good wink wink nudge nudge at the channel lore. So I beat the Lego City Undercover story and got like about 50% completion. It's one of those games that tells you very specifically how far you've progressed in the game. It's like 50.6% completed, something like that. And I was pretty happy with that. I could have kept doing the little challenges around the open world map. I could have kept building more super builds, and I could have seen myself having fun doing that. That being said, when I decided to move on from Lego City, I had completed the story and done a lot of the stuff I wanted to do. I was feeling pretty content. I was like, okay, seeing what this game has to offer for the most part, time for the next one. And that's gonna be kind of a rule for this backlog experiment. I told myself that if I have 2 sessions in a row that are just not fun, or are unfulfilling, or I feel like I'm just kind of spinning my wheels here. I am going to move on to the next game because there's a lot of games to play here. Yeah, if I really want to come back to a game, I'll just come back to that game. It's all in the spirit of keeping things moving. So, of course, the next thing I did was play more Tears of the Kingdom. But that didn't take super duper long. Basically, what I did was I got my final 120 shrines, and I maxed out the upgrades on a couple of sets of armor that I liked, including the amber earrings, which on their own, fully upgraded, have 28 defense points, which is pretty awesome. And is great for mixing and matching with other pieces of armor that have more status effects, but maybe not so much a high defense point. So I was really excited to get my maxed out amber earrings. After doing that and getting the shrines, I was done with Tears of the Kingdom. That's another game like Lego City Undercover that I very realistically could see myself going back to, but I wanted to see what other games had to offer as well. I've definitely put in my hours into Tears of the Kingdom. So it's time to set this game aside for now. I've enjoyed my chapter with it. And so the next game on our bucket list, Chapter 4, unless the last one was 2.5, in which case this would be Chapter 3.5. And they're just all gonna be
half chapters.
Half chapters now. That won't get confusing. Yeah, we moved on to another classic title, which somehow I had never played before. Somehow I had never played Mario Galaxy growing up. I got Mario Odyssey when it came out that holiday and basically played it for a month straight. I also played Mario Sunshine back as a kid. That was like my Mario game growing up. Somehow though, the games in the middle of those 3D Mario titles, the Galaxy games, some of the best reviewed and best remembered 3D Marios. How did I miss that one? And the quick answer is there was a time in my life where my younger brother and I were collecting our own games and we were like, this is my game, and we wanted to have our own experiences. And a lot of it was like we weren't necessarily telling each other, don't play my games. We just were like, I want to play my own games to give me my own sense of identity. And so Galaxy and Galaxy 2 were my little brother's games. So I didn't play them. And that's really the whole story. I missed out on a really classic title for years for a pretty trivial reason. That being said, the game still holds up. I played it on the 3D All-Stars collection. We'll talk about the controls in a sec and how they compare the Wii versus the Switch controls. But I was just really blown away. Nintendo always has great level design, but I mean, Galaxy is reviewed as one of their best games for a reason. Just the ideas happening here are really awesome. The level of difficulty in Galaxy 1 wasn't super high, which means it was mostly a game of vibes. I played Mario Galaxy 1 for a long time, got about 85 stars, and then that's when I started getting curious as to what made Galaxy 2 different from Galaxy 1. Was it a sequel, just an extension of Galaxy 1? And if I were to describe Mario Galaxy 1 versus Mario Galaxy 2, Mario Galaxy 1 is Mario in space, and then Galaxy 2 is Mario's space. Mario themed space, if that makes sense. Galaxy 2, you have a lot more deviations from just it's a level set in the cosmos. You get a lot of abstract, very Nintendo Mario-y levels that just use a lot of these space mechanics, and the game is a lot more gameplay focused because of that. Galaxy 1, it's a game where Mario is placed in space and it's vibes. Galaxy 2 is a true Mario game with that level of challenge as well. It's one of the harder Mario games I've actually played, and in a satisfying way. I'm losing a lot, but I'm also consistently making it farther in the level, and the trial and error loop in Galaxy 2 is very nice. Yeah, Galaxy 1 truly is a much easier game, with the exception of like some levels that force in some really bad motion controls. which basically artificially spikes Galaxy 1's difficulty. That game is not really hard at all. Hi, Bingo. You want to be on camera? Say hi. What's your thoughts on Galaxy 1? Well, Mario Galaxy 1 is not as fun because my father holds a controller and I can't really mess with the cord for that. I much prefer Galaxy 2, which for some reason was never given an HD remake, and I like the nunchuck cord because I can chew on it. Thanks for your input, Bingus. He's like, I hate this, let me down.
I just wanted love from you.
I just wanted to say hi, I didn't want to get whored out for the camera. In general, I really appreciate the implementation of gyro controls in the 3D All-Stars port. Using a gyroscope cursor to collect star bits and do other motion control challenges was pretty seamless, and if your cursor ever fell off center, you just had to press one button to recenter it in the screen, meaning you could move around with the controller, shift positions, you're not locked in like you would be with a Wiimote where you have to point at the sensor bar. It's a nice modern option to play Mario Galaxy 1. But playing Mario Galaxy 2 also made me re-fall in love with the Wiimote nunchuck setup. These games just feel at home on the Wii. I don't think playing Mario Galaxy on a Pro Controller versus a Wiimote, there is a superior way. Both are very viable options to play the game. I also know this is a hot take. I liked the face ship in Mario 2 more than the Comet Observatory in Galaxy 1. Purely as a hub, I think the storytelling with the Comet Observatory being Princess Rosalina's first Luma friend that she travels through the stars with. Spoiler alerts for Galaxy 1. But I think that Luma becoming the Comet Observatory and how you slowly relight up different areas and you're collecting Lumas and you see the core of the observatory get brighter and different rooms get power. It's cool. I like the sense of community of bringing this ship back to life. You also get that on the face ship with Galaxy 2. It's not as magical because it strips away Rosalina. Instead of the big observatory, you're just on a small planetoid structure. But actually that's what I like about it more, is the small planetoid structure. It does the same thing as Galaxy 1. As you meet new people, you're filling up the observatory, you're filling up the face ship, but since the face ship has less real estate, it feels even livelier, arguably, to me, than the Comet Observatory. And yeah, that's my hot take. I think story-wise, I do like the backstory of the Comet Observatory, and I do miss Rosalina and Rosalina's storybook. I think the trade-off of just a really solid hub world with everything right there, and then you can just jump to the steering wheel and go to any of the levels you want instead of having to run every which way to play different levels. I think the system's just, it makes more sense, it's more fluid. I like how the face ship is optimized for gameplay and getting you into levels. The Comet Observatory has you running a little more back and forth to get to your levels. Usually I don't mind this so much, because another thing that the Comet Observatory has over the face ship is the theme song. Just humming the Comet Observatory theme song gets me in the mood to play Galaxy 1. That is a good theme. The magic of the Comet Observatory is undeniable, but when it comes down to taste, I just prefer the face ship. So once again, Galaxy 2, can easily see myself going back to that one. I think it's the one I like more out of the two games. I think that focus on gameplay really did do it for me. Like Galaxy 1 is laying the groundwork and you're getting the concepts down, and then Nintendo really mastered it with Galaxy 2. I remember now actually, there was a reason why I stopped playing Galaxy 2, and it's kind of what I was saying at the beginning of the video. I got distracted by making a video. The Princess Peach Showtime demo came out. That was a very highly anticipated game for me this year. I played it, realized, oh no, I don't think I actually want to get this game anymore. And if you want to hear that story, you can click the link to that video here. I've said this before, so I don't need to go back into it. If you're curious as to why the Princess Peach Showtime demo disappointed me, just watch that video that I made about it. Demo distracted me from Galaxy 2. Made a video about it, That ate up a couple of days, and in the ADHD brain of mine, that was enough of a distance from Galaxy 2 where I could either jump right back in or just keep plugging away at my bucket list. And Galaxy 2 is really fun, and I will go back, but for now, I decided to play after Peach Showtime. It inspired me to play Paper Mario 64. And that's because I was really disappointed that one of the only games I was anticipating this year ended up being a flop for me. So the only other game that I'm anticipating now is Paper Mario and the Thousand Year Door, the remake of the GameCube game that's coming out in just a month now. And I was like, okay, so Thousand Year Door is the second game in the Paper Mario series. A good way to hype myself up for the remake of that second game is to play the first game in the Paper Mario series. I can start playing them in chronological order. I can properly get hyped. And yeah, Paper Mario 64, much more positive experience than Peach Showtime. And overall it's a competition, I think, for the ones I liked the most, I think, between, if we're excluding Tears of the Kingdom, I think it's a tie between Galaxy 2 and Paper Mario 64. Paper Mario I'm still making my way through, but what I really liked about it
Is nothing.
I think the level grind / lack thereof, the level progression in the game is awesome. One of the most balanced RPGs I've ever played. Never was there a moment where I felt I needed to spend time grinding to beat the boss. All the mechanics are well paced out. You have a proper amount of enemies along the trail. If you fight most of the enemies on your way to a boss, you'll be fine. Princess Peach Showtime was a game that had a lot of charm but not a lot of substance, whereas Paper Mario had the substance to back up the charm. The Mushroom Kingdom and all the people in it, I really like. It does the RPG thing where you can talk to NPCs and they say random stuff that give you lore and fill out the world, tell you about various characters. But it is in the world of Mario, so you already know Toads and Koopas and Bob-ombs, and so basically you get to see this game's interpretation of what a living Mushroom Kingdom would be like. So in the very first scene of the game, you run into Peach's castle, and it's just filled with different like Koopas, Bob-ombs, and they talk about how like some of them moved to the Mushroom Kingdom and it's so much better. And then what's kind of wild is I didn't know it would be the perfect capping point to this whole video and to the past 3 months of chipping through a backlog, because it mirrored a lot of the things from the games I've played so far and kind of did it better. So what I mean by that is Paper Mario, you run into Peach's castle, then you have a moment where Bowser comes in and F's stuff up and he blasts the castle into space. Now that is very similar to the opening of Tears of the Kingdom as well as Mario Galaxy, because literally you're being lifted into space. Peach's castle during this game is floating above the clouds, and it's done through a upheaval type event similar to Tears of the Kingdom. But then why I actually like the opening to Paper Mario more than Mario Galaxy's amazing opening. It's awesome. I love Bowser coming in, abducting the castle, and being like, come get me, Mario. But in Paper Mario, not only does he do that, but you initially go up with Bowser on the castle, have an intro battle. It does the classic RPG thing where you're majorly outclassed, and then Bowser's like, yoink! You get booted off the castle, and now that sets up your adventure of going back to save Princess Peach. It's very similar to Mario Galaxy, but having that extra level of you failed before the adventure, and now you have to grow throughout the game. That was a really nice touch. I also really liked, to compare it again to Tears of the Kingdom, one of the bigger disappointments for me is how Princess Zelda's story was told. I think her adventures in the past are really awesome, but like the way you collect memories and it's all Memento style storytelling is definitely weaker, you know? It worked better for Breath of the Wild's memories, and in Tears of the Kingdom it kind of feels out of place.
I think it makes sense given that Tears of the Kingdom is more timeless timeline based, like it's a story from the past. So I get what it's trying to go for. I agree. I just wanted to know more about what she was doing. Like, you get to see snippets, and all of the things from the past are just her adventures, but at the same time,
Yeah.
like, what else was she doing besides having
that's the
tea
thing
with...
is you just don't get much. And even in the little bit of time that I've spent in Paper Mario, I can tell there's a lot more for Princess Peach to do while she's in her kidnapped state. Because while she's on the castle, you have different little stealth missions. And you sneak into Bowser's room and read his diary, which is funny. And you do different things to help your little, there's a magic star friend who is basically the little battle pigeon sending war messages between Mario and Peach. That's basically his function. She's like, go tell Mario that this shit's about to go down. And long story less long, there's a very inactive role for Zelda's story in Tears of the Kingdom, even though it's one of the best interpretations, I think, of Princess Zelda. It leaves you wanting a lot more. It's wild to me that in 2001 they did this kind of like parallel storytelling of the hero of the game and the captured princess, but captured princess making a difference on the sidelines. Gameplay wise, it was more effective in the 2001 game than the 2023 game, which is just, you can never pin quality on the age of a title. Quality game design is quality game design. And I found it humorous that I played all these games, Galaxy, Tears of the Kingdom, and Paper Mario, all kind of close together, and how many times that theme of a castle in the sky came up. And I appreciated my time with Paper Mario more, I think, having played those games right before it. So yeah, I think so far this bucket list experiment is going well. I think the more games I try to play, the more of those little connections I can make. I can start noticing how different games influence each other, notice what I like in my video games a little more, maybe. Oh, Paper Mario also has like Zelda-like dungeons. Not like in Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, but like the old school classic dungeons. Every level in the game ends with like this dungeon crawl that puzzles have been ramping up in difficulty. And so I'm like, oh shit, I also got my classic Zelda fix this year. Even though I've played a Zelda game, I got a more traditional Zelda dungeon in this Paper Mario game. So that's not a like Paper Mario did Zelda better, just it was funny. If you like this video, please like it and subscribe to the channel so you can see future episodes of this series. I'm basically gonna, every couple of months, come on camera here, and tell you about the games I've been playing.
Just got it. That was gross.
Yeah, every few months I'll update you on how the bucket list is going, what games I've been playing, and it'll be a more conversational format. Leave a comment about if you've played any of these games, and leave any recommendations for games, and thank you so much for watching, and until next time, stay super.